Good evening, students. A warm welcome to the grammar class in Sri Ramanuja Vidya Mandir. This is Pushpalata, your English faculty. Well, in today's class, we will get along with the basic sentence patterns. See, students, we will construct the sentences, we have an idea about it, we write it, but when you're putting the parts of speech in a wrong place, then the entire meaning in the sentence gets changed. So we were speaking about how to communicate, how to improve your vocabulary, and now we'll go with how to improve the framing of sentences in today's class. So here we have a sentence is a basic unit of language. Well, no matter how much intelligent you are, whatever better ideas you have in your brain, the only process is your speaking, the way you speak and the way you frame your sentences. So your expression can be only no doubt about it. Even in a writing skill or in a speaking skill, any active skills, you have to speak them out in a form of sentences. So when you're speaking, when your construction of the sentence is wrong, then the idea what you try to say goes wrong into the opposite brain. So here the definition says a sentence is the basic unit of language, whichever language it could be. The basic unit of language is sentence, which expresses a complete thought. So whichever thought you have, you want to present it in a past tense or in a future tense, or about a masculine gender or about a feminine gender, whatever it could be, if the construction of the sentence is perfect, then the idea or the thought of what is in your brain goes into the opposite brain without any dysfunctional factors. It does this by following a grammatical basic rules of syntax. I've told you phonology, graphology, morphology, syntax, semantics. I've told you the function grammar. Syntax means we should know how to frame sentences. Construction of sentences is called syntax. I've told you, students. So today we will learn like how nicely we will be able to construct the sentence in a grammatical, without any grammatical mistakes, in a grammatical order. We will try to go for the syntax levels. For example, Angela is the cutest girl in the class. There's no other girl more cute than Angela. This is clear. So you want to say, suppose I say Angela is cute girl in the class, I will come to a notion along with Angela, maybe there are some other children who are more cute, more beautiful. But here your idea is she's the best. She's the most pretty. Your idea is that. So you say Angela is the cutest girl in the class. This is the meaning. A complete sentence has at least a subject and a main verb to state or declare a complete thought. So the first and foremost thing, I've told you, our students already, what is a phrase, what is a clause, difference between a phrase and a clause. So now we will go with sentence, a perfect construction of a sentence. What is the basic need for a sentence? At least a subject and a predicate. So once when we say sentence, or we say parts of sentence, the first idea what's going to come into your brain is subject, predicate. So here we have the subject and predicate in the English grammar. I've already completed this also for you, students. You must have remembered. I gave you an exercise also. I gave you some sentences and I told you to divide the subject and the predicate. You must have remembered. Here, say for example, we have Sue passed Anne the ball. Now there are two people, Sue and Anne. And Sue has passed the ball to Anne. So here you have the subject and the predicate. Now what is a subject? No doubt it is this is subject and this is predicate. Sue is subject. Past is what? Verb. So this is verb. Past is verb. So subject and predicate first I have divided. Now in the predicate I wanted to know more about it. Past. Past what? The ball. So this is a direct object. Can you see, students? This is a direct object. passed ball to whom? To Anne. So this is indirect object. So now I have understood how to divide a sentence, and in the sentence the main part is the verb and then the direct and indirect. You must have remembered I have completed this also for you all. So you must have remembered, student, the basic structure of sentence, or the basic need of for a structure of a sentence is the parts of sentences: subject, predicate, object, complement. You remember? I told you. When there is an action word and that is also a transitive verb, then you will have an object. Object can be a direct and indirect object. Again, in object, you have two parts. That is direct object and then you have indirect object. Subject, predicate, and in the predicate you will have an object which is a direct object or an indirect object, and then if it is a linking verb you will have a complement. So this also we have completed. Now, for a subject you have a linking verb, and in the linking verb you have a subject complement. Remember, students, for a linking verb there is a subject complement. He is angry. So I'm angry is modifying the subject, not the verb. So this, whenever there is a linking verb, you have subject complement. For intransitive verbs, there is no object. You must have remembered subject verb, that's all. So intransitive doesn't require any objects. They doesn't require any complements. They are to themselves understood. Now, when you're coming to a transitive verb, I've told you previously, transitive verb, there is a monotransitive and ditransitive. Mono means single, that is, you'll have only one object. But when you're coming to a ditransitive, you have a direct object as well as an indirect object. So here is an example, students. The dog is faithful. No doubt, the subject is the dog. Can you see? We use subject in green, the verbs in yellow, and the complements and in direct and indirect objects in blue. So here I'm going along using the same colors. All the green is the subjects. They are subjects. Okay, and now when you're coming up to these yellow color, they are the verbs. Right? And then when you're coming up to the blue ones, they are the complements or the objects. Something which is completing the verbs. Okay? So, can be objects or complements. So, now you have, students, now you have the dog, that is the subject. The dog is faithful. Is a linking verb. Is a linking verb. And you can see the dog is faithful. So the faithfulness is not modifying the verb, but it is modifying the subject dog. Can you see? You can see this is modifying the dog. The dog died. Now whichever dog we are talking about is faithful, it died. That's over. It's understood. The dog is no more in life. It's dead. So there is no requirement of anything to complete it. It's understood. So this is intransitive verb. Intransitive verbs doesn't require any objects. Now coming to the next one, the dog ate a bun. The dog ate a bun. The dog ate what? A bun. So this is a direct object. Next one is Sam gave the dog the bun. Now the dog ate the bun and it died. Who gave the bun? Sam gave. Sam gave what? The bun. To whom? To the dog. So this is direct object and this is indirect object. So you should have seen, students, we have a linking verb with a complement. We have an intransitive verb which doesn't require any completions. We have a subject with a direct object, that is a transitive verb. This is a transitive verb and this is intransitive verb. A transitive verb with a direct object and transitive verb again, okay, with a direct object and indirect object. So this much you must have understood. Now, parts of speech. We also have completed parts of speech. Remember, students, we have completed the parts of speech. And I was telling you the 8 parts of speech, and other than that, I also completed telling you articles. So now, how are parts of speech connected to parts of sentence? This we are going to see today. You have a few sentences and examples of your students. The man kicked. The man is... The man, can you see, all the black letters are articles. Did you understand? All the black, what I put in black are articles. I've changed the colors so that you will better understand the parts of sentence. So now, the man. No doubt this is subject. Okay? The man. So this is subject part. The man kicked. He is angry, he is frustrated, he kicked somebody. Understood? Who kicked? The man kicked. So this is a subject with a verb. Can you see? So here you have the verb, and which is a intransitive verb, which doesn't require any complement. It's a linking verb. Sorry, it's an intransitive verb. So the first sentence has a subject plus intransitive verb. Next one, the man is a coach. We have in red color the subject is a linking verb, and then a coach. It is a noun phrase. Coach is a noun. A coach. Then it is a phrase. 2 words, no? So it is a phrase noun. That's the meaning. Next one is the man. Again subject. Kicked. Kicked what? So here kicked is an active verb. Here also you can see it's an active verb, but it is intransitive verb. It is an intransitive verb, but it is kicked, active verb. You remember I've told you linking verb and active verb. So this is active verb and this is linking verb. But it doesn't require any objects because it's an intransitive verb. Now this is a transitive verb. TV means transitive verb. Now this is a transitive verb, but so it requires a object. That is a direct object. The man kicked the ball. Next is the young man. I've added an adjective. Can you see here? Adjective, subject. The young man. I have an adjective, subject. Kicked is no doubt an active verb. The ball is a direct object. The young man is again an adjective, subject. Angrily kicked. Can you see, students? An adverbial active verb. The ball, direct object. So can you see how you're framing the sentence from a short to a lengthy? How you are adding the parts of speech and how you are improving your structure of the sentence. The young man, adjective subject, angrily kicked. Angrily is adverbial. Same color I've used here. Kicked is active. Excuse me. Is an active verb. The ball is a direct object. Down the road. It is a prepositional phrase. It's a prepositional. Can you see down? Down the road. Kicked where? Down the road. So you're using a prepositional phrase. So you have understood now how to use adjective forms, adverbial forms, prepositional forms in the sentence and how to construct the sentence. Excuse me, students. Fine. Now we'll go for the first pattern. I'm going to teach you the various patterns or how to learn to frame sentences. There are 8 basic patterns. Let us see what they are. The first pattern has only 3 slots. That is subject, verb and adverbial, whatever it is. Or you can say complement to add it. One subject and one verb you have, and other than the verb you have some adverbial complement to complete the sentence. I've told you it is complete. Complement means complete. So complement we have. Here we have an adverbial complement, that is California is in the west of US. California. No doubt it is a noun and it is in subject place. Is a linking verb. So I am talking about California where it is. Time and place. Adverbial is always going to tell you the time and place of the noun. So it's in the west of US. So this is the first pattern. You'll have 3 slots where you have only subject, verb and the complement. And here we have the complement of adverbial case. Now again we have the subject complement, which is a noun phrase and an adjective phrase. See, we again have 3 slots. Subject, be form. Here also, you remember students, I'm telling you only about the be forms. You know what are be forms? Is, am, are, was, were, has, have, had, been, being. These are the be forms. So here you again have a be form and then you have a subject complement. Something to complete the subject. We'll see what it is. Michael was an Olympic gold medalist. Gold medalist. Noun phrase. He's an Olympic gold medalist. So how do I identify Michael? With another noun phrase saying that he's an Olympic gold medalist. The dog is being silly. Silly is an adjective. So remember students, the be forms can be in adverbial case, adjective case and noun phrases. So you can use for subject completions adverbial, adjective and noun. So this is one pattern. Now here you have linking verbs which appear like action verbs. Is, am, are, when you see, no doubt you'll come to a conclusion it's a linking verb. Okay, because it's not doing any action on its own. Whenever you see is, am, are acting like a main verb, remember students, they don't do action. They are only representing about the subject. They are only telling about the subject. And whatever tells about the subject are called linking verbs. I've already explained you this part in the previous class. So now we have linking verbs where we are going to go for a subject complement. Subject complement. This is not going to go for any actions, though it is appearing like to be an action verb. Is, am, are linking verbs, no doubt. But these are appears, became, they're action words. But here they are not doing any action as a verb. They are only describing the subject. The lake appears calm. You remember students, I've told you previously, the lake is calm. Understood? Kara is a teacher. She became a teacher means now she's a teacher. So whenever you can replace these words into be forms, is or are or was or were, then it is linking verb, no doubt. It's going to be a linking word. So though these appear like action words, they are doing the action of a linking verb. So another slot is you have a subject, linking verb with subject complement. So these are the examples. Next one. you have two slots, that is intransitive verbs. Intransitive verbs doesn't need a complement, doesn't need any objects. So here we have come with intransitive verbs. The camera battery expired. It's no more working. It's gone. So that's understood. We clearly understood, and there's no need of any more rectifications for it. Audience laugh. Some jovial drama is going on, audience were laughing. So this is, here you can see, it is intransitive verbs. For intransitive verb pattern, you will not require any completions or objects or indirect. Now coming up to the third one is transitive verbs. Transitive verbs mandatory requires object, and remember students, only when the verb is in transitive form, then only you can change an active voice into passive voice. Okay? So here, unless and until there is an object, you can't change it into a passive voice. So you will be again going with it afterwards. Now the next pattern is subject, transitive verb, object. Joy spoiled his niece Rachel. Our secretary distributes our weekly timesheets. Now see carefully students, this is an object. Weekly timesheets. This is a person. Remember, both of them are objects. Transitive verb requires object. And this is, okay, monotransitive. It's not a ditransitive, it's monotransitive, means it requires only one object. So, spoiled his niece can be a person, can be a thing. Anything, but it is an object. So this is another pattern. Next one is transitive verbs with direct and indirect objects. You have two objects over here, direct, indirect. Ben gave me a colorful toy. Gave what? Colorful toy. To whom? To me. You can also write that Ben gave a colorful toy to me. You can also say like that. Okay? The nurse Buggins handed the child a tortoise crayon. So, here you have a direct object and an indirect object. The next one is you have two complements. The transitive verb requires two complements. Subject, transitive verb, indirect object, direct object, and then object complement. Say for example, my mom made a cake for her neighbor. This is a completion of sentence. A better understanding, Danny purchased what? A suit. To whom? To his father. For Christmas. So this is not object. So when you're changing into passive voice, a suit, okay, was purchased for his father by Danny for the Christmas. So you should push this to a side. You only target on the objects, direct object and indirect object, and that you will change into passive voice, and then after that whatever is extra you will add it. We'll have it again in the active and passive voice. Next one is gerund form. Gerund means ing forms. Subject verb gerund, that is my mom loves singing. Loves what? She loves singing. This appears like a verb, but it is not a verb. You can see students, loves is the verb. And this is gerund. It is not doing any action. She loves singing. Is she singing there? No. She is not singing there. But she is fond of singing. She loves singing. So you can see my mom loves singing. This is very confused part for most of the students. They will get confused thinking that when we say identify the part of speech, and then when we underline singing, they say it's a verb. No. It's not a verb, students. Loves is the verb. My mom, what? The action is loves. She loves. She loves what? Singing. So singing is going to come, or it is going to work like a noun. It appears like a verb, but it is going to do a noun. Loves what? Loves singing. Darcy enjoys driving. So enjoys is the verb. This is the action verb. Can you see? This is the action verb, and what does he do? He loves driving. So this is the noun. It is appearing like a verb, but it is not a verb, it is a noun. So this is when a noun, when a verb form or a word like a verb is doing the action of a noun, we call it as gerunds. So that is another pattern what you have seen. So now, understanding the parts of sentences. So we'll have a quick look into how we understand the parts of sentences. Subject. Every sentence basic need is a subject and a predicate. Okay, I've explained you all these things. If you have any doubt, just recap, look back into your records, whatever I have told you previously. Then again look into this, you will have a better understanding. So first of all, we need a subject and a predicate, and then we need a direct object, indirect object, and then object of the prepositions. Down the road, you remember, for the prepositions also we have objects. For the prepositions also we'll have the objects. So it is also going to be in a sentence, other than the subject and predicate and direct and indirect object, we also have the objects of the prepositions. So for some prepositions also you will frame some objects. Then we have transitive and intransitive verbs. For an intransitive verb, you don't require any complement or you don't require any objects, but for a transitive verb you need a direct object and an indirect object. Next one is linking verbs. Okay, when the subject is a linking verb, then you're going to have complements. So this is what we are going to see. I've given you a small glossary, students. All what I have taught you till now, just look into the glossary, you'll understand. First of all, we'll take linking verb, a verb that requires a subjective complement to be completed. Any verb which requires a completion. My mom loves. Loves what? My mom loves. My mom loves whom? Or loves what? There is no completion in that. Then you want something to complete it. He is what? So when a verb requires a subjective complement, that is called a linking verb. When the verb requires some completion, it's called a linking verb. Next is intransitive verb, an action verb that requires no complement. It's an action verb. The dog died. Over. Audience laughed. Over. So once when we say this, you understand why they laughed. There is a completion for that. But laughed, there it is understood. Mom angry. Okay. So once when you go with these kind of things, you understand the subject and the verb, and these verbs which doesn't need any completions, even without a completion or without a direct and indirect object, when they are understood, they are called as intransitive verbs. Next is transitive. These are action verbs. Remember, students, action verbs, not linking verbs. These both are action verbs. And this is a linking verb. Okay. Now, the transitive and intransitive are action verbs, but for transitive, you require at least one complement, that is a direct object, to be complete. You need a complement. You need a complement means you need either a complement or an object. Without that, the sentence is not completed. Okay? My mother loves what? Singing. Singing is a complement. He kicked what? The ball. The ball is an object. So once when you need a complement or an object, then it is called a transitive verb. So this much you have understood, students. Next is direct object. Now we'll see what is a direct object. A noun in the predicate following a transitive verb. Simple. Any noun which is following a transitive verb is called the direct object. It names the objects or receiver of the verb's action. Receiver. The object, whatever is taken. He broke a bench. You can understand that he has broken the bench. He's doing the action of breaking the bench. The bench was broken by him in passive voice. So the bench, it's in the subjective form, but it is in the receiver's form. It is receiving the breakage. So anything which is in a receiver form or in an action form by the subject is called the direct object. Next is indirect object. A noun in the predicate following a transitive verb. It names the recipient of the direct object. Indirect object, a noun in the predicate. Again, same thing. Following by a transitive verb. Same thing. It names the recipient of the direct object. Whatever the direct object, whom, when we ask, he did what is a direct object. Whom is indirect object. So whoever has received the action of the direct object is called indirect object. I suppose you understand. Adjectives. Now I've told you the first two slides. I've showed you that a complement can be an adverbial, adjectival or noun phrase. We'll have it now. Adjective, a word that modifies a noun. So here I am saying the first slide you must have remembered. I said he is, say for example, California is beautiful, or it's on the west of US. So now I'm talking about noun California, or I'm talking about the pronoun he is angry. So here the adjective is modifying the subjective noun. Students, it's modifying the subjective nouns. It has nothing to do with the verb. So the verb over there is only linking the subject and the complement. So it is a linking verb. It is not doing any action. So it is not an action verb. It is only a linking verb. In that cases, or even for transitive verbs, you will have an object, direct object and indirect object, and then you will have a complement, an adjective complement or an adverbial complement or a noun phrase. So there you will be using this. Adjective, which is going to modify the noun. Adverbial, any structure that functions as an adverb does, as a modifier to a verb, adjective and another adverb. Generally we will come to a conclusion adverb means modifies the verb. No. Adverb modifies the verb, another adverb, adjective. I repeat, adjective modifies only the noun. Adverb modifies verb, adjective and another adverb. Okay. So here adverbial, we are going to have some adverbial phrases, and the meaning of adverbial is verb, adjective or another adverb. When I'm teaching you parts of speech, parts of this thing, I was explaining you all these things. When I was explaining you parts of speech, I was explaining you all these things, and I gave definitions also. Just have a look into your previous classes. Noun phrase. A noun head word boy is, when I say boy, it's noun. But when I say the boy, it's a noun phrase. Have you understood? With all its attendant pre and post noun modifiers. Okay, clever boy. That's going to be an adjectival phrase for the noun. So when we have all these things, it's clear that the noun phrase is going to be, the noun phrase means it is not only a noun, but it is adding some phrase before or after the noun. So that is a noun phrase. Objective complement. Objects, I've told you already. Adjective phrase, noun phrase, or completes the idea of a verb that modifies or renames the direct object. So a direct object I'm speaking about, which is going to modify the verb, action verb. Subject complement. I just now explained you. California is on the west of US. So it's completing this thing. Now look into the gerunds. A verb which functions as a noun. I just now told you. It is appearing like verb, but it does the action of the noun. So students, I have a small exercise for you. Just try to practice it. Very few. The baby was crying. They played kabaddi. She worked hard for the exam. He writes poems. You must tell the police the truth. He cooks food for his family. The doctor gave her medicine for fever. You have to separate first subject and predicate, and in the subject, what are there? Subject, noun phrase, only noun, or adjectival